it. You should have put the witch hat upside down, man.
Oh, that's true. I should have.
Not good. Not good.
Hey, welcome to the 42, full 42. Some of us maybe a little geeky. Who knows? We're going to talk about board games, a little bit of Halloween. We have a special guest with us here.
If people do not know Julie Ahern, please reach out and say hi. Follow. She does amazing stuff in the industry across the board. Julie, thanks for taking the time for being with us on this spectacular evening.
Yeah.
Right?
Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, for real.
Yes, it's legit Halloween. Yeah, this is live stuff. We don't record and tape and play after. So it is 9:00 real time on Halloween, on the actual day. Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, Peter. Yep, we are without Katia today. She'll be back next week. We didn't have Chris last week.
That's why I gave Katia the ghost in her speech bubble, because she's not here.
That's good. That's good. So Julie, how are you?
I'm good. I also was sick last week, so I'm excited to be doing something social tonight, even if it is from a distance.
From a distance. With a spirit cat over your left shoulder.
Yeah, I'm double exposure, late 70s, early 80s photo. Ready?
Yep, that's pretty good.
That was my.
I do like the yellow lenses. Those are.
Yeah, they're
good.
That was very good.
This is actually my cat. I'm pretty sure I got her. I took a picture of her while she was watching the sink, the water, so that I could get a good profile picture.
What do you mean? This is what Darth Vader sounds like.
Sure. Yep.
Hey, I'm your father.
Oh my god.
It's before they distorted it in the 90s.
That does have a voice thing though on it, doesn't it?
It's got a breather. Like if I push a button, it'll do the, but it does it too long. It's like he breathes for 5 seconds and come on.
Yeah, because 5 seconds.
Stop breathing.
Yeah.
I'm holding my breath the whole time.
Jesus. Right. So on this Halloween, we figured a good topic of conversation would be narratives in board games, which Julie and I have had conversations about at QsCon, at other conventions. So I think that there's a lot that we could bring to the table in that conversation. We also have a top 5 of our favorite narrative games. We have a surprise Halloween trivia, which should be fun because Darth Vader put it together. And then since Julie is a first-time guest on the full 42, we have the lightning round, which everyone loves and hates at the same time. Happy Halloween, Matt. Hope all is well.
Hi, Matt.
So why don't we do the lightning round?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Before we go to let's learn a little bit about Julie, and then we'll.
Yeah. Let's hear a little bit about her first, and then we'll dive deep in with this lightning round, right?
With the scientific lightning round, right. So Julie.
Yes. Hi.
Tell for those that don't know you, what do you do? Where can people find you? What would they know you for?
So I am newly with Van Ryder Games, Senior Director of Operations, which is a super fancy title for doing a lot of project stuff, and which is very cool. I was super excited to start there. I did a lot of happy dances, and then they gave me a lot of work. So now I have to muted happy dances while I'm actually doing work. But before that, I was at Greenbrier Games. I was one of the founders. And so I have to give you, okay, so I'll put it in here because we're talking about narrative games. And for my top 5, I weeded out all the games that I am related to, either full design to tangentially doing some work on, were removed from because I had so many in my list. So
Okay.
that's starting with Zepocalypse, Grimslingers, Champions of Horror, Folklore, Lost Ones, Fire for Light, Vengeance, Posthuman, Final Girl, graphic novels, Detective City of Angels, Dark Quarter, Hostage Negotiator, Frosthaven, Mortem, and Dubious.
It's a pretty damn good list right there.
Worked on a lot of narrative games,
Wow.
other too, but those were the ones that were specifically have story in them. So I've worked on a lot of games.
I forgot you worked on Vengeance.
So we partnered with Mighty Board, and it wasn't, that is absolutely Gordon's design and everything. But I did a lot of, I got a lot of throw spaghetti at the wall. What's your take on it? Kind of stuff.
It's good.
Which was cool.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. And then we were part of the localizing it here in the United States.
So newly with Van Ryder, I remember you posted something about kind of coming a full circle story of initially with AJ and a conversation you had, and now you're actually with. I know it's touching, but it's a little bit in depth. But if you could summarize that whole thing, I think that would be fun too.
So our first Gen Con was both our first Gen Con. And we were at tables next to each other. And he had If I'm Going Down, which was his solo zombie apocalypse board game. And we had Zepocalypse, which was our RPG style campaigny zombie apocalypse board game. And I was demoing. Well, that was, it was okay. So first Gen Con, first board game at a show, and I was a squirrel on crack. I was like, I was at the table demoing from 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. And then I would go back to the hotel and answer emails about like our Kickstarter stuff and crash for like 2 hours and then get up and do it. Like I did that for like every single day. And every once in a while somebody would come over and be like, hey, do you want a break from at the demo table? And I would be like, nah, I'm good. And they'd be like, okay, and walk away. And finally Jeff was like, hey, why don't you go over there and play their board game? Because basically I think he didn't want me to die. Like, why don't you, like, instead of just like take a break, he like gave me a specific task. He's like, go look at their game. It's really cool. Like this guy AJ, he's really cool. They made a zombie game. Go play their game. And so I walk over and I look like an elementary school teacher. And if anybody who's met AJ used to play baseball. He, is like the dude's dude. And I could walk over and I'm like, what's this? Tell me about some zombies. He's like, okay.
Good.
And then I start playing it and I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Have you guys played this? This is so cool. Because I'm also still very, hype. I was very hype. Adrenaline just the whole weekend. And so I think like from there, that whole, we could have had first impressions of that person is not probably going to get along with me, kind of just from superficial kind of things. But like immediately there was like kind of like, oh, cool, you're cool kind of thing, which was neat. And so at shows, there was at least the like, hey, how's it going? And I have to say, like when they started doing the graphic novels, man, I was jealous. Those were so good, and now I get to work on them, and that's great.
Oh, cool.
And then Final Girl, so first Kickstarter for Final Girl was live, and they already knew they plan for if it's successful, what's the next thing. So obviously they planned for Series 2, Series 3, and so they already had started talking about what would the second Kickstarter and the second run look like. So I had backed the full thing for the first Kickstarter. And they messaged me and I got this like, hey, Julie, I know you're really busy and you probably don't have time for this, but we wanted, we were trying to think of like women designers to do Final Girl who would like horror, who have done, narrative thematic games. and you were kind of the only person on the list we could think of. And so you're probably really busy. But me, and I went, yes. And they're like, all right. So don't take your time, but if you know maybe what kind of themes, I had already pulled up the Kickstarter, looked at the different movies that are there, and I was like, yeah. So I want, and I was like, boom, boom, boom. These are the storylines I would do, my top choices, and they were like, okay. So you could pick any one of those sounds great. Which one? I was like, you tell me. You're the ones designing it. Which is the best fit? And they were like, we think actually. Big Bad Wolf, because you have the location as the Black Forest, or the storybook forest, is already baked in. So that's a really great. I was like, cool. What do you need? And he's like, well, all right, here's like it was effortless. It really was. And even when I my first round of the design, they were like, there's some problematic things, like this doesn't work, and this is. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Boom, boom, boom. How about this? And they were like, oh yeah, no, that's much better. Like it was a really good, fun collaboration, which I know is something that somebody who isn't here and is a ghost right now would be deeply familiar with at this point.
Right. Well, I don't know if that's been.
I don't know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I really don't.
What?
You seriously have no idea anyway, because you're in a helmet.
I gave a spoiler. It's fine.
Yeah. Right. So that was for 2. Then you got to wrap your head around.
So we have I have Red and Gretel in the storybook forest with the Big Bad Wolf.
That's awesome.
It's super fun. It was a fun one to do, and it's different. I think that's the other cool thing is you can go all thematically. You get deep horror. You get the slash and gore type horror. There's a lot of different gameplay styles, and all of them are thematic. And I love all of those. But I also like doing one that if you're trying to get somebody into the game who isn't a massive horror fan, it's a more approachable storyline that way.
Sure,
I can see that.
It's good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The wolf can do some serious damage. It's great. But
they're all great. And the production value, it's one thing with Van Ryder, and we've had Evan on. One thing with Van Ryder is their production value, right? Like Final Girl, what they did with the first campaign was just bonkers. Like everything about it, the way the magnetic box, like one's the map, one's the way it flips, it doesn't come apart. Like even to the inserts and under the insert, like everything about what they do.
And that is AJ. Well, yes. So Evan visually is, looking at the art, looking at the graphic design. AJ thinks about games as the full experience, and having a conversation about that is phenomenal, because he's not just thinking about, is it fun? Is it playable? It's the person who is picking this up and sitting down. What is their experience going to be, and how is everything about the game serving that experience? Which is intense as a conversation, and we do it with every single game so far, which is very cool.
I'm very, very much looking forward to the future and certain things in the pipeline that a couple of us will have our fingerprints on. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Me too.
Very cool. All right, well, let's get to the lightning round, since you can't speak about some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll look back at this episode and be like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Oh, right.
Before I get into that, I need my fingers and all this. I'm going to take this whole mask off.
Oh, please leave it on. It's way better.
So that comes off.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It's pretty neat.
And then
I'm not going to lie. I was hoping you'd get stuck in it, but that's okay.
there we go. That's so much
really
better.
Is like the full mask.
So Chris meet Julie meet Chris.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Yeah, I had this on when we started. So,
Yep.
Air, water. I tried to take a drink and I forgot I had a helmet.
Ready? Here we go.
There you go.
There you are. Okay.
You're gonna leave the harmonica on the rest of the show?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just
It's
call you
actually
Bill
pretty
Burr.
comfy.
Dan's got a comment about he's
Wow.
actually in a card. On a card.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Kira.
The whore. Yeah, sorry. Mask had to come off.
That's good.
Okay, so we have this lightning round. Let's see.
Are you changing it?
Put
Yeah, okay.
that on there. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Before that, please like and subscribe. We're supposed to say all that, right?
You should do that.
So we have this lightning round. We like to put guests through. I made a Halloween version. So some of the questions will be the same. Some of them won't be. But it's this very scientific thing that we worked on for years and years to make sure that it ends up telling you the fictional character that you are most like. Very scientific. So let me see. I gotta present my screen.
You should present.
See, the background's orange, so Halloween.
So fancy.
Perfect. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So first question, and see, it's this kind of tree thing here. So you're gonna go one way with it. So first question is trick or treat?
Trick.
Ooh, that was
Not
quick.
even a hesitation.
Nope.
That was quick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see what's this way. Werewolf or zombie?
Mm.
That's harder. I'm gonna have to go with zombie.
All right. Have the power to turn into a penguin or a panda?
Panda.
All right. Sean Connery or Daniel Craig?
Oh, Daniel Craig.
Ooh.
Wow.
All right. Have neon green skin or hot pink skin?
Neon green skin.
Back towards the middle here. Chased by a ghost or a werewolf?
Like werewolf again, man. I feel like I'm gonna go with werewolf because I didn't choose it, so it's probably pissed at this point. So that's what we're going with.
That's why it's chasing you.
Yes.
All right. Be able to speak to dogs or cats?
I feel like I'm partially fluent in cat, but dogs are pretty easy to understand. So being fully fluent in cat would be much more useful.
Okay. Detect any lie you hear or get away with any lie?
Detect any lie.
Nope. Isn't that yellow?
That was yellow.
What was it?
Yep.
Come on now. You
Oh,
one
nice.
job, man. Yellow or
Yep.
red?
Almost messed up the whole algorithm.
Years of research.
All down the drain. Always live in a cave or a treehouse?
Well, when I was younger, it would have been treehouse, but man, you'd have to climb up there now, and I am middle-aged. Cave.
Could be a cool cave.
Oops.
All right.
Sounds good.
Final one, and then we'll find out your results. Know yourself fully or know others fully?
I'm pretty self-reflective, so I guess let's go with no others.
All right. So the science says that you are like Edna from The Incredibles.
Totally fine with that. I've got the glasses and everything.
Yeah, the glasses almost fit already.
Wow, that's pretty
Nice. And that's your trip.
That was amazing.
So many other questions unasked.
good. There's still some that we haven't, like, even with the amount of people that we put through at the gathering, there are still
Oh, sure.
pathways that have not been revealed. I don't even know if we've revealed all of the bottoms yet.
No, and if a few of them have been asked several times, I've replaced them with new ones too.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, always something new.
No capes. No capes.
Okay.
No capes.
That's legit.
This is it.
They're a danger.
They are. They could ruin your day.
So now we know you fully.
There you go.
Completely.
Good.
No more questions needed. I'm trying to find how I turn a stupid
Everything looks
thing
so
off.
rosy now that I've taken
Oh,
the
no.
yellow glasses off.
The
worse.
yellow mess with you. Yeah.
I actually
Okay,
think it's going
so do we want? Oh, we got few people I wasn't watching. Oh yeah, so the dogs and cats thing. Can't anyway. Well, assuming you understand what they're saying. I have cats. I've had both dogs and cats. I have cats, but I would rather want to be able to speak to the things that aren't pets, because then they don't become pets, right? Then they just become roommates once you can actually talk to them.
Oh, I've always, cats are more like roommates anyway. So the cool thing, the nonverbal, you know, conversations that cats have, and one of them that there was a documentary on Netflix recently about it that brought this up, but I knew it before, is that the slow blink says, I trust you. So cats will
Mm-hmm.
slow blink to show we're cool, kind of a thing. And I think I had this great moment with doing it with a tiger at the zoo.
Oh wow.
That's
Where
neat.
there's like all these people yelling and screaming, and he's just staring at all of them. And I was like, I know, buddy, I feel you. And I did it. And he like looked at me for a minute, and then he started slow blinking back. And I was like, oh my God, can I go pet him? They were like, no.
He's like, I just told you I trust you. You want to run over here and pet me?
Cool.
Jeez.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we should be talking about the games with narrative, right? That's what we're supposed to be talking about anyway.
Oh.
Yes. Annie is not is slow to trust. So that's her very nonverbal, like, oh, you're cool? All right, we're cool, kind of.
All right.
Context.
Solid.
Yes. So the topic, the top 5 games with narratives for today. The reason I think it would be good is because of all the narrative-esque games that Julie has brought to our tables across the industry. I looked at it as a game that had not one of those games where you can create your own narrative. Games that actually have some narrative in it. You can still create your own, but not like not a game that you're creating the narrative as you go.
Can I? So we didn't specify, and that's really interesting because I made 8 different categories.
Wow. All right.
Okay, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
All right, so you have, and this is just like, again, there are games that have overlap of all of these, and this is not the exclusive. I'm sure there are others, but this was kind of how I shaped everything. So you have your escape room type games,
Okay.
which are, you're telling a story or you're discovering a story as you go. You have your RPG style tabletop games with miniatures. So that's your command games, your weird miniatures, Privateer Press, that kind of a thing, where the focus is more almost the combat-esque of it, but there is story around it to set it up. Then you have your RPG style storytelling tabletop games. So that's more like time stories, where there isn't miniatures but there is no GM. You have the kind of like escape rooms, but more of a solve the mystery. So your Chronicles of Crime, your detective type game. You have your building the story is the objective of the game. So Rory Story Cubes or Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time.
You have your building the story is informing the gameplay type games, which is like the Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, or The Dark Quarter, which we're working on right now. Also, Women Are Werewolves is one that I thought was a very good example of that. And then you have your social deduction games, which Werewolf, Two Rooms and a Boom, Dracula's Feast, all of those. So those are, to me, all different types and styles. And of course, again, not, there are plenty of games that have, and some that overlap between the two. But I tried to, and then you have actual RPGs, which I've removed completely, because then that's like a whole, there's other massive thing that I absolutely love and adore, but can't, that would be going down in another huge path. And
no, that's a whole nother episode.
5 to choose.
Mm-hmm. Where would you put Gloom? Would that be in your story driving?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
Mike, what was your kind of thoughts going into what narrative meant to you?
Okay, that feels better. I went. Sorry, I don't know. I feel at home down here. It's normally where I am. Yeah,
Sure.
so there are plenty of options, right? There are your once upon a times, there are your unlocks, there are your just games where the fun narrative comes out of it because you as the player created it, even though there isn't a narrative in a game. Mine have story to them. Not necessarily you need to come up with them. There's a story in the games. So I left out the glooms where you're creating the story. I left out like the Rory story cubes. I left out the Once Upon a Time. I left out the unlocks or the escape, the exits, like those kind of things where or the time stories where there is a narrative and you're just trying to figure that all out. I left those out and I went with board games that have a story in it, right? And whether you're trying to piece it together or the narrative in the story is coming out, like you can flesh it out as a good gamer, right? As a like a good reader, right, creates a film in their head while they're reading a book. These games have that in there, and then you're creating like the moments that are happening throughout the game. So
I kept mine pretty loose. I basically thought, okay, what are the games of like afterwards? I can tell someone a story of what happened from my point. Like, oh, I went here and I did this and this happened to me and blah blah. You know, that it created a story. And I did purposely, like you, I left out games that are this is the story, like time stories, right? Every time you play that, they're just you're going through their story.
right.
Like I kind of left off that, but you know, there's wiggle room and everything, right? So
I forgot about the holding on. Holding on is such a we had talked about it. I don't know if that was the component episode, but we had talked about, or I had talked about it on one of the previous episodes. And one of my favorite things is that ring that you put over the pawn for the nurse as stress. I think
It's stress.
is,
The stress is building up until you have to go home and spend some time away from all of it.
It's such an amazing thing in the game.
Right. And that and the memories being the pictures and they're being cloudy and then becoming clearer. It is one of my favorite examples of a game that that is a worker placement game that fully incorporates theme and narrative in a way that is meaningful and impactful. Yeah. And the fascinating social experiment, I could say, of playing with people who are playing to win versus people who are playing buying into this is an actual human being,
right?
And have actually bought into Billy Kerr is real and you are really like, and the two different ways of playing and the stress level people have playing with each other when somebody is playing purely strategy to win and has detached from the narrative part of it versus somebody who is really invested in that narrative is huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things in the game design classroom with Keith that we do when we go over rhetorical device, every game has some sort of rhetorical device, right? When you're talking education, you can connect any board game to it. And like one of the bigger ones is setting. There's always a setting, right? There's always something in the majority of board game rule books. There's some blurb, some paragraph that's like, this is what we're here to do. This is what you're doing. You've been called upon to do whatever it is. And for the most part, a lot of games, you can bypass that and still play the game and still know what you're doing and still act as a character and still have your ability. But you're spot on with Billy Kerr because if you're there to experience the story, it's a completely deeper game than if you're just like, I'm going to go here and do this and connect this piece and connect this whatever. Like it's such a different game.
And so it's funny because Jackie just said she has a hard time getting people to the table to play it. Whereas that was another interesting piece. So Jennifer is one of my closest friends, and I go and play games with her. It's been a little bit spottier in the past couple of years for obvious reasons, but typically I was going like she lives in Columbus, so I usually take like an extra long time around Origins, and like about quarterly I will go and spend like a super long weekend and we play games, and we play that all the time. And it's not, I don't know. It's just, it's not like you want to play games because they're fun and an escape and everything. But sometimes I don't know, it's such a deeper, more like we're obsessed with it, and it's not that I like all kinds of games, obviously, but it just has so much like really you get to explore and have a conversation with somebody and really I don't know, self-reflect, which sure, that's not every gaming experience you want to have.
Yeah.
But occasionally it's really cool.
Yeah.
And to have a really good friend that you then can have a really more profound conversation with is sometimes in a way that's approachable because you're still playing a game is nice.
It leaves an impact too. Like
Yeah.
if you let it do its thing, it'll leave an impact on you pretty strong.
So
So
that's everybody's number.
Campaign game like that to the table. It does have a really cool.
it's not on my top 5, and it's not on my top 5 for the very specific reason that Jackie said, because I took out games that I can't get to the table frequently. That was one of my color 5. So not some of them are some games that I have that are probably more impactful in my life, but they are ones that I had 17 as of this morning still. And so I had to,
it happens.
they had to get pared down.
Sure. You gotta do what you gotta do. I get it.
Right.
Nope. All right. So let's bring out our number 5s. Who wants to go first? Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my number. I don't do them in any order. Mine.
No, I'm going to take them as this is your order. Whichever one you say is your number one's your favorite
Mine is
narrative.
not in an order. I will adjust if we have overlap. However, I do not think we're gonna have. I think this might be the time we don't have any overlap. It's
we're gonna see. Let's find out.
I know it's possible, but I don't know.
Tell me.
I don't know if we will.
Okay.
It's funny that you said getting games to the table. You took out games that you don't get to the table, and I wish I got this game to the table more often. When school was closed for COVID, we were meeting in the classroom and playing this game almost on a weekly basis. Not a very complicated game, but the story, the choices that you're making, as like the battle system is fine, and you're playing this whatever the creature is you're battling as a group, but it's all the stuff in between, right? When you go back to camp, and you have to make these choices of how to further your civilization. It's Kingdom Death Monster. The game is bonkers. The art's crazy. The everything about the game is so cool. But the narrative with what's going on, where you find yourself, the choices you need to make out of the gate on what your society is going to be like, the in-betweens of these characters that are like hunting you and coming to your village and trying to find you, and you're just those 4 people with a friggin' stone and a loincloth, and then the game just powers through. It's got such an amazing story, and it's dark and it's demonic and it's fucking weird, but the story is just it's I wish I played it more. It's got a hell of a barrier to entry, and the only reason I don't own it is because all the minis come on sprues and you literally have to glue them together, and one of them has like hands, like 100 hands that you have to glue around its like butthole. It's very weird. Yeah, but it's bonkers good. From a narrative perspective, the story, when it's when things are happening, when certain characters come in and you roll like shit and people die, and like there's just the way the story goes. Like I remember I was playing, the person that introduced me to it, we were playing a game, and at one point it was either I sacrifice myself or we were going to lose like the whole party. So like you had to make that choice, and obviously like I'm not killing everybody. So like those stories that still come out of it, even though there's a narrative, the stories that come out of your gameplay while you're there fighting the lion or while you're there fighting these things is just, oh, that antelope is awful too. So yeah, the Kingdom Death Monster is where I'm coming out of the gate with this one.
All right.
It's nice. So cool. Have either of you played it?
No.
I played it.
Oh, it's so good. Every fight is different. Every time you go back to the village and you think about, because when you're fighting the monsters, it drops these items, and then you're using those items to like craft things for yourself, shields and leather armor and whatever. But depending on how you're creating your society and what you've chosen to do, like, spoiler free, the choices you make out of the gate propel you down a path where you're like, well, this is what we're doing now. It's amazing. It's weird, but it's really good.
It definitely has a video game RPG quality to it.
Sure.
In the way it builds.
Cool. All right. My number 5, and this isn't just to bother Mike, is Eldritch Horror, not Arkham. Arkham's close, but I prefer Eldritch. I think it's a better story overall. Arkham feels very random, and it feels very separated to me because like I may just spend the entire game in a library or something while someone else is dying in the streets on the other side of town. But in Eldritch, it's the whole world, and yet it still seems like we're all working on the same thing. I guess it makes more sense that you're separated because I'm in India and you're in Africa, but they still make sense, and they still seem like the stories and stuff seem like it's coming together.
Sure.
But this one's an obvious one for me. I tried to get it played this weekend just because it's Halloween, but couldn't get the game going this week. Mostly my fault. But probably play next weekend. It's been a while, and it's a Arkham thing, so it's a monster of a game to get to the table and all that. But I prefer Eldritch just a little bit more. I think it's cleaner, and I always have. I even like the fact that if you die, you get to flip that card over, and people can find your body and find stuff out about you. Like, there's a story to be told after this game, right? After you play the game, everybody can talk about what happened, whether you win or lose. So, Arkham Horror is my number 5. I
always said I would choose Arkham Eldritch Horror, not Arkham Horror.
Or Eldritch.
Yeah, it's okay. You can say the right one. I always said I would leave Arkham off my list because of its meaning.
I'm with you, Michael.
Arkham, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Arkham will always have that place because of what it's done for me where I am, right? Meeting Richard, being able to design a game with Richard. Arkham will always be there. So it's that Batman and Troubles is always off my list. I think what Eldritch does have for it are the interactions, the encounters, because it's top card, bottom card, right? So you do one thing, something happens, and then you do something right away, where Arkham is more segmented. You do one thing, and if nothing happens, that's a success because you didn't die. Eldritch has that back-to-back kind of storytelling. So it does seem a little more, I don't know, congruent than Arkham, but
which is
Eldritch
funny
also
because I would fill in those gaps when we play Arkham Horror.
Oh, sure.
Because that's what I do. So
yeah.
I'd be cleaning up those narratives as we play.
There was one game where we camped at the newspaper trying to get that fucking what's it called when you get the money? Why did I just lose the thing where you get what is it? Not a stipend. What's it called? You get it at the newspaper and you get the money.
Paid?
Retainer. You get the retainer. And I remember just camping the newspaper to try and get that retainer because we needed money. And then the next time we played, my neighbors had made me a tote bag that had a tent for camping, and then the newspaper, like a image of a newspaper, and then a $sign. And it was just like because I was camping at the newspaper. So as always, stories come out of it, and it's fun. I think you're not far off with Eldritch with the feelings because it does have the back-to-back, but it's not Arkham.
So I also didn't have Arkham. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, there are also, I think Eldritch cleaned up a few issues that I have with Arkham. Like there's no missing turns where you're lost in time and space and stuff like that, right? You always at least have something to do. I think they cleaned it up for an experience that at least, I don't know. Some of those stories from Arkham can be, I was lost in space and time for 3 turns. Or, something that just...
So, I feel like a lot of the games of this era of the Arkham. You know, you had Talisman, who like there was a lot of that randomization that was new to that. It was a new genre, so we built off of them, and that's fine. I didn't pick Arkham, and it was down to Arkham Horror and the game that I did pick for my number 5, which would be Tales of Arabian Nights.
I thought about that one too.
This shows
Where yes, there is a level of it being the newer and more of the first of its kind. So there are what we consider rough around the edges kind of pieces to them now that other people have built off of and made more polished, more streamlined, more leaning into what people find enjoyable. Cool, but I still love, I guess, the OGs, as it were.
The OGs.
And there's a good one. So yes, Tales of Arabian Nights, same kind of thing. You're running around a world map, finding different stories that give you different quests and different little pieces of information, which are super cool and all baked in an actual mythology that exists, which is fun. So it's all story. That's the whole point of the game.
Right.
And to your point of it being a game that people critique is that it's so open-ended that sometimes part of the problem being that you can get a cool thing that you will never find. You know, it's like you find the cool key, but you never find the door that it unlocks, kind of a thing, because it's so open-ended, which is a piece of gameplay that I think in more modern times we would shape and be able to make better. But at the same time, for its time and what it did was, it's so cool. That giant book of narrative of what you can do, and that and at the end, you went on this quest and you had this whole experience that you can tell a story about. That sometimes it was dead-ended, and sometimes everything fell into place, and it was just amazing because you got to do all the cool things and it made sense. So the randomization piece of it being the more challenging part of it, but the storytelling part of it being an absolute had to be like informed how I look at games and how I design games. So it had to be in my top.
Person drew on there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's awful.
No.
Worst way to
Away,
help
children, look away.
Yeah, no, don't ever.
Don't.
That's drawn on computer, I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, Tails is okay. I mean, we could talk either on the Discord after or off camera about Tails and its influence on certain game design. It just never. It was fun with the right crowd. If they could get into the story and make fun of what was going on, but there was never any agency in what you were choosing. The Matrix was like, there's a story, what do you do? Great, I'm going to do this. And then the story, based on what it was, something completely other than what you chose happened. It's like, well, I didn't choose that. I chose this. And it never connected. It always seemed like it was this weird story that wasn't connected. Like, I never played a game that actually did all the things like you said, and you had this, everything worked out. It never worked out. It was always so freaking sideways. Like, all the keywords that you pick, they never came up in the story. It always seemed, it was weird. It was just weird.
Many of my Arkham experiences could be described as that as well.
It's true.
I think if you play this game enough, you will be able to make certain things like that happen. You know, go to the lake of many colored fish and find the secret places and all that stuff. You can eventually kind of make some of those connections, but I don't know how many times you'd have to play in order to get all of it, right? I don't know if anybody ever has.
I'm sure.
But yeah, it is just a big random fest, but it's fun. You're experiencing a story together. So
Right. And again, for for a bit of a nostalgia playing it now, much like Talisman,
oh sure,
much like Arkham Horror at this point, where you take it with a grain of salt. But at the time, it was just pure magic because nobody was making games like that, and so getting to play something that really tapped into a lot of like what I wanted to do as a designer was just amazing. So yeah, no, I did at the time I played it a ton, and I was playing it with Jeff and Teresa and like all my a bunch of people who eventually became Greenbrier Games. So when you say the experience depends on who you play with, we were always good playing. Like we were gamers first, and we were friends first. So it was definitely a fun experience when we would play it.
Yeah, you have to be okay. I mean, games like this, like Talisman and Arkham, you have to be okay if just things go awry.
Right.
You can't have your heart set on things being a happy ending.
Sure, yeah.
Planning, strategy.
No, none of that.
No.
Go somewhere, read a story. It might go your way. It might be totally bonkers.
Mike, you're number 4.
It's not my number 4, but the next one I'm going to talk about
every time.
Is kind of, I'll go off of what you just talked about with Tales, and it's kind of a grouping of games, and you'll know why. Ryan Lockett is amazing.
You get to pick one game. Don't get them all.
What he does with the world building, doing the story, doing the narrative, doing the art, he's just a magician. And the first time I played Above and Below was shortly after I had played Tales for the first time, because I was late to the party, right? And Tales was so disconnected for me. It was fun with the people that I had played with, but we played Above and Below, and it's similar in my head to the narrative, the storytelling with the book, and the going to different places and having this choice, right? You get to read this paragraph of these creepy little eyes in this dark cave, right? And what do? And then, although you don't get to pick, you do have the choice of who you bring along. And then you do have the choice of, do I go for the regular or the Uber? And you're rolling to try and figure out, like, do you have your successes or whatever? But the story that came out of it was, I think, what I wanted to have Tales do for me, because it felt, even though the stories were disconnected, like going from one place to another wasn't necessarily connected by a line. I think it just, for me, I dove into that world head first, and I loved every minute of it. And then Near and Far and all the stuff that he's done in that world has been amazing. So Above and Below for me, I think is better than Near and Far. But I love the narrative that's coming out of it, right? The stories that are coming out of it with what's going on in that game. Plus you have a little bit of player control with who you get to pick for your crew, who you're taking with you. They need to sleep because they just went on this grand adventure. Now you got to figure out how to adjust for the next trip. And then the Above and Below, like the story of what's going on underneath the earth as you're going through these different stories was gripping for me. So
I think the game is aptly named because above you have a Euro game, and below you have random story time.
Sure.
And
I have to say, the name of the game it was incredibly clever. The well thought out, everything about it, 100%.
Yep. I love it. I love what he's doing. I love the world. I love what he's created. And Near and Far was good. I just felt like too many turns in the village to do things, and then you go out, and then you got to come back and do the dance between the different buildings again, and then you go out once. Like it wasn't Above and Below for me. I think this one just, it sung for what I was expecting from it. And then I guess based on that, Near and Far took a little too long. I don't know. I still love the world, and I like the little hints of stuff that you might know if had you played Above and Below, and I liked everything about it.
Cool.
Fair.
All right. So my number 4, very close to the Arabian Nights, is Agents of Smersh. This is basically like the next step after Arabian Nights. I'm pretty sure it was in between like Arabian Nights and then like above and below area, where people were still figuring out like how do we make this a little bit better, but didn't quite, get there with mechanisms and stuff. So if you haven't played, it's not as hugely popular as Arabian Nights, but I know that they came out with a second edition a year or so ago. But anyway, you're playing, your James Bond types and that kind of thing around the world, and you're trying to stop the evil villain from taking over the world. The cool thing about this, though, is that instead of a book, you have cards, and the cards are all connected to each other, and the cards make sense in the way that they what they did here that is better, in my opinion, than Arabian Nights is that things made sense to what you were doing, as opposed to, like we said, in Arabian Nights, you could be like, oh, I have a sword, I see a evil dude, I attack him with my weapons. Oh, he's a genie. Do I have magic? No, I have a sword. Oh, too bad. Like none of it made sense whenever you went into that. With this, whenever you had certain skills, and whenever you made a choice, those skills would come into play based off of the choice that you would make, right? If you were great at guns, then you'd say, I'm going to shoot them, and you got to use your gun skill. So that made it a little bit better. Plus, the theme was fun, a James Bond kind of thing. It's not done a lot in board games. The only thing is that it's cooperative, which is not usually my bag of tea. Bag of tea? Cup of tea?
Bag of tea. Yep.
Bag of what? What do you say bag of? I know you say cup of tea. Is there a bag of something?
Bag of tea, clearly.
Bag of tea. Well, it's a bag of
Sure.
tea. It comes in bags. Anyway.
Sure.
And I haven't played the new version, so that's why I'm showing the old version here. Although I don't know where that clay thing is, but yeah. So, Agents of Smersh.
Never played it.
Nice.
I think you'd enjoy it. Lots of story in it. It is a little fiddly as to,
but I feel like any game like this has to be to some degree.
Right. I mean, you see all these different cards, and J16 and all this stuff. It's basically the same kind of idea, only instead of a book, they use cards, right?
Yeah.
Because it depends on where you are. Those cards. That's the other thing. Is like, if I'm in Africa, then the stories and stuff tend to be about the bad stuff that's happening there versus, so. Yep. Cool. That's my number 4. Julie?
My number 4 is Before There Were Stars. So you took out games where the whole point was to tell a story. I did not. I love games that have narration as the objective. This happens to be my favorite.
Smirk and Dagger again. We hammered Smirk and Dagger last week. Their games are just some of the best.
Yeah. So Before There Were Stars, and part of the reason I like it is there's more structure. So it's not for somebody who's not a storyteller. I've played this game with so many different type of people, and when you can play this with an engineer who is not a storyteller, or with a 5-year-old who is trying to be a storyteller, but it has the structure and you are building a story where at the end there are so many funny moments. Like I had played this game and had so many moments where I was laughing and couldn't breathe because somebody was being so ridiculous. But it all, you have to tie in previous cards and things. So it's a bit of a memory piece to it. You have to remember what people said, but you have your cards as your touchstones for those memories. So you're rolling and then you're placing your dice on the card that you can use. And then having to work it into your story. And then the story itself, it could be the hero's journey. It could be they'll give you this piece of it, you're remembering something that happened in the past. Now it'll give you prompts so that it's not just an open-ended tell a story. And I've done super serious, beautiful ones that were super poignant. I've done ones that are just dumb. We like, how dumb can you be in this? Like, how stupid can you make this story? And it didn't matter because at the end, everybody had this like shared experience that you could talk about and be like, remember that time when you had the rabbit with no hands, so I had to build him little wooden dowel hands, and then he went around smacking people with the dowels. Good times. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous and funny, and I don't know. And then the points are totally arbitrary and completely about who do you think had a good moment in this round of narration, so that you can give everybody the opportunity to have their like props of being like, that was hilarious how you worked that drumstick in to be the rabbit's hands. Good job. Like it doesn't,
Right.
the points are very much just for the feels at the end. In truth, it's just creating a story together, but in a way that is accessible, so I can get it to the table tons. And I don't think I've ever had a time where everybody was like, all right, well, what are we doing next? Like, it's not, yes, maybe it's not like the greatest, most profound, it's not holding on, but it's definitely one where you're just, and then you're like, wow, that was cool. That was fun. And then
how do the dice work in? You said you put them on the card so you can use it in your story?
you roll them, and then as you can see on the cards, you have what you rolled will tell you what you can pick, because you have to put those dice on that card. So you'll have a number of cards to choose from, but then it's narrowed down somewhat based on your dice roll.
Are you putting one die and then telling, like, if
So
I
the
roll
owl,
a 2,
you need a 2, a 3, and a 6.
do I have to put a 2, 3, and 6 down to talk about the owl?
Yes, to select that card.
All three of them, or just one per die? Like, if I roll a 6 and put it on there, can I say the owl, blah blah blah, or do I have to get the 2, then the 3, then
and
a
a
6?
6?
Oh, okay.
Or for lightning, you'd have a 1, a 2, and a 4. So you roll. It's a ton. It's more than 4. You get a big wad of dice. So you get, and then you, based on that, have to choose what you're selecting. So you have this, like an origin story in the beginning, and then you get, and you get 3 cards, and it's like the dog, the lightning, and the hammer, and what you have cards for. So you have to, like, if all you can get is the dog, you're like, all right, how does my origin story start with a dog? Let's do this. Like, that's that's the fun part.
Okay. So there's always an option for what you roll. Then you're never blocked out. Like, in that scenario, if I rolled 3 4s on 3 dice, I couldn't place anything, right?
Well, you have like 12 dice.
Okay, perfect. No, that's cool.
So yes, I feel like there's probably rules for if you roll 12 4s, you get to pick whatever you want. I don't know.
Yeah, you win. That's it. You
win.
get all the points.
You win.
That's cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So that is a game I can play with a much wider range of audience and always have a good experience doing. And it is pure creating narrative. And I it's so funny because I always try to go for these like super profound moments, and everybody around me is like, literally everybody around me is like, how dumb can we make this? And so it never works out. But also it's super funny by the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Mike, you're number 3.
Again,
your third favorite.
Not my third favorite. I talked about that one. I talked about this one.
Permanently.
Ever.
It's never permanent. I'll go in and
Etched
erase
in
the
stone.
video. I am going to go with King's Dilemma.
Oh, that's a good one.
As my next one. The gameplay of that and the way that the story unfolds as you play and talk to each other about what you want to pass, what you want to do, the way the cards are introduced, the way the overall game plays, you really get sucked into the story that's unfolding, and you don't know what's happening. You don't know how it's going to happen. There are these envelopes, where things come out of, which has influenced a certain game design. You're writing your name down when you succeed on stuff. It's very permanent in some of its stuff. But the narrative of how things are unfolding with the cards and the story and the wanting things to go in your favor because you have an agenda and you need certain things to happen. It's very clever, and they have a cut in the insert, so cards when they're tossed, they go into this slot and they're under the insert and they're gone forever, like they're just out of the game. But there is a permanence to the game, and it really creates a fun story, a really cool experience while you're playing through the campaign. Basically, again, it has a cool save feature, so you don't have to play everything all at once. It does have a little bit of a where were we, how are we playing again when you revisit it after a certain amount of time has passed, which could be a deterrent for people. But they did such a bang up job on this game, from the art to the story to the components. It's very, very well done. I haven't played it as much as I would want. It's that good.
This is the kind of game that could get spoiled and stuff like that by people showing pictures and stuff like that, right? So I didn't want to thumb through too many of these.
No, it's smart. It's smart. Yeah, there are, I don't want to say unlocks, but there are envelopes that as you progress through the story, there are certain numbers you go to, certain envelope numbers, and then you pull out what's in the envelope. And it adds, it's not like a one and done either. It's not like you open this envelope and you read this card and that's a thing. Like in the envelope, there are cards that you add to the deck that are shuffled in and could come up next round, could come up 3 rounds from now. It's just very, very clever.
But it's a legacy game?
Yeah, like when you win, when you do your thing, you write your name down like in marker on, like it's permanent. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's really good. But it's a hell of a story that unfolds as you're playing through, and the things that are happening around you, and it's cool.
I've only played one legacy game, and it was 6 games of Charterstone. And it wasn't my game, so when it came time to write stuff, I was just like, it's even worse when it's not your game. Like, I don't want to write on someone else's. It almost feels like every time somebody asks me to sign a game that I've designed, I'm like, I don't want to write on your game.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird.
Yeah, King's Dilemma. I know they have. I don't know if it's still funding, but they did Queen's Dilemma. But yeah, it's worth a go. It's worth a go. It's really good.
Cool. All right, my number. What are we on? We're on number 3. Number 3.
Somewhere around 3. Yeah.
My number 3 of all time in order.
Nope.
Well, yes, for me.
Permanently.
Is Star Wars Outer Rim.
Really?
So this is Sandbox. Why'd you say really?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So this is a Sandbox game.
I'll tell you how you're wrong later.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is a Sandbox game. They don't give you like narratives that you're reading or anything like that. But I can definitely tell you, like the first game I ever played this, I played Boba Fett, and I went and I decided, okay, I'm just going to concentrate on bounty hunting and all that stuff. And I could tell you after that game, like, I went after this guy and I found him over here and stuff. And it felt like, and once I got him, I was on my way to get him over here, but then I got caught by the Empire because they hated me because I did this. Like, there's a story that you can tell afterwards that, you know, and you get to do it in the Star Wars universe, which, you know, kind of like, so, and then the very next game I played, I think, Dr. Aphra, and I didn't touch bounties at all. I went and did missions, and it was a totally different feel. And Sandbox games do that for me. I could almost do nothing but Sandbox games in this, because afterwards you get to tell the story of everything that happened to you, and it's different every time you play. So why do you say really?
Well, in in the beginning, when I said I left certain games out, this would have been one of the ones. Like, yes, there is a story that you can tell after you've played the game, but I wouldn't say that it's a narrative. It's not narrative driven, right? There's a narrative you're creating. There's not
Right.
a narrative in the game.
The narrative that you create, I think there's actually two different types of narrative games. There's the games that direct the narrative, write it out for you. You follow along the next adventure.
I would agree.
Book,
I put that
adventure book kind, right? And then there's this kind which lets you build the narrative in a kind of open mechanism kind of thing that you, no matter what, at the end of both types of games, you can tell a story of what happened to you, and it feels like you were in that story.
Sure.
So this is my favorite type of narrative, where it it feels like I was in a story versus I was guided by a story.
And we could split hairs and say that's more of a thematic driven game and than a story driven game, but nonetheless, I agree that it is in the realm of storytelling games. It's just
You're creating the story.
you're creating the story.
Right. I wouldn't
Right.
say the game's narrative comes out of your playthrough of it, not the game.
Right, but it's not as simple as that. So like I didn't put talisman in here because
Shock.
talisman, you could definitely go, oh, remember that time, that dragon popped up when I only had one life or something like that, right? But it's so random in talisman that there's no choice. And so it doesn't feel like you're helping build the narrative together.
But you can thwart each other and there can be story in that.
Oh, you can definitely do that. Yes. I'll give you that. But it, like I say in Star Wars, in Outer Rim, this specific one, like I said, I could be like, I'm going to Naboo and I'm going to go look for that Greedo guy that I know is probably hiding there because I got this, word and stuff like that.
So the funny thing about
It's a
something like
choice,
Star Wars
Yeah.
and a few other properties, but Star Wars as being one of the biggest, is that there's already collective storytelling because it's Star Wars and we have
Right.
all the world building already and the narrative has already been spoon fed to us since infancy at this point. So there is a little bit of shortcut that you can do with a Star Wars and storytelling and not being given a narrative because it's
right. I mean, that's why the Tolkien fantasy is used so much because all you have to do is say, oh, you meet a gnome and everybody knows what a gnome looks like in their head or a dwarf or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I ran a 2-year RPG of Star Wars. So, and then I'm still playing Star Wars now, just not the GM now, but yeah, so I know quite a bit about this universe. And it's too much about this universe. And I catch all the little Easter eggs and stuff in here. Yeah, you're right. I don't have to go too far before it's a full story in my head when I play this.
But even the average player, the average consumer, you can say Star Wars to people who are non-gamers, and they're already going to have a lot of their own narrative in their head already. So that's another reason why I feel like you can keep this one. Maybe not every game like this of this style, but that's why you use a property like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or really anything by Disney.
No, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that there's a narrative that comes out of the game. That was it. That was
okay. Your pitch went up as if there was going to be a but.
No, that was it.
No,
I agree with
no
you.
but?
No,
All right, my number 3 then. Or we could just sit here in the awkward.
No, number 3.
No.
I like the
my number 3 is I'm going to share.
Oh, nice.
Oh, right. This is your number 3.
I think. Wait, can I do this? Nope, that's not what I wanted at all.
You should be able to present. Do you have that?
It's.
There. Oh, it might not be doing it because I'm on here. Hold on. There we go.
There we go. Is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
Nice.
So there's a whole series of these now at this point, and there's kind of a genre that has a subgenre that has been built around it, but it was one of the first, and it's still I would say my favorite. Although I love all of this genre, so I've played all of the Chronicles of Crime. I've played all Mortem, and let's see what else is coming out is Mother of Frankenstein, and like any of this genre is my jam. So I do love seeing it's a open-ended. You have to go. You can hunt down the clues. You only get a certain amount, and then you have to figure out what information made sense to you. Of course, the challenge being once you've solved the mystery, you gotta wait a while before you can play it again. But that being said, I make them like when I played it, especially that first time, it was a group of us that would get together, and we made it a point to make it that was like our gaming night for several weeks in a row, where thematic food, and we got dressed up, and it was a whole full experience type of thing, which was great. Now I wouldn't say that I'd do that for every single Sherlock Holmes that has come out since, or Chronicles of Crime for that matter, but I just love the tactile nature of like looking through the newspaper and it, like you say, building on it. So there's articles in the newspaper or ads or just the what do I want to say, nope, it's not going to not ads, the like personal messages that people used to post before we had things like social media.
Like classifieds?
Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah. Personals.
Yeah, the personals.
That will build. So a case, 3 cases in, 4 cases in, will still reference that first newspaper or have a clue in that newspaper. So reading through that and looking at the map and knowing, as it builds, where you go into different houses and talk to people, but now in a new time period, if you go back, it's a different kind of conversation and experience because you've already talked to them, type of thing. All of that makes me so any kind of thing that can build on itself, and I think like you said earlier, just it makes me happy. But I also just love the technology. I was obsessed with Chronicles of Crime when it first came out, with the whole getting to use your phone, and I still love that. But I will say, for me, tactile of games is a big part of my experience, and being able to physically hold the paper and look at the map, and I've laminated my copy of the map so that I can actually just dry erase marker on it and stuff like that. So having all of that tactile piece to it makes me very happy, because that's something that's part of my gaming experience that I'm always, if it's going to be something that's more streamlined or clean, I'm going to need, hi Katia. I'm going to need like a fidget spinner or something to play with if we're just having a conversation. So
have you played the Micro Macro, those games?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's that big poster thing that's all hand drawn, black and white, and you're supposed to like follow a perpetrator to do, like, you get a clue and you just got to solve it.
Oh yeah, no. So that I have not, mostly because I have to wear glasses when I play games, because I actually am very nearsighted at this point.
They have a magnifying
Those
glass.
actually give me a headache.
It's clever the way they do it with the creating the narrative of what's going on, like.
Yes.
But it's that tactile, like looking at a picture and trying to figure out like what's going on around it and trying to find your clues.
I'm curious, have you tried Watson and Holmes? So
I have not tried it.
I haven't played Consulting Detective because, well, not because, but I've watched some videos on it and stuff like that. And basically, Watson and Holmes, I've played a lot of that, and it's basic. It's kind of like a very condensed, easy to get into kind of version. You're not going to get the big newspaper and all that stuff, but you still feel like you're in the story. You're figuring out the clues and stuff like that. But
Well,
I think the
the
rule book's only like two inside pages or something. It's real simple.
yeah, well, and I love the Sherlock storyline and
Yep.
everything about the creation. Like I've read all of the Sherlock books and short stories tons growing up. So that like I feel like that's again another you're casting a wide net. You have a greater I can get more people to play it because Sherlock, just like
Right.
the graphic novel adventures, all the Sherlock ones do better than any of the other ones because more people are it's recognizable. People are like, "Oh,
Right.
yes, that's a," which are also very cool. You get to play either as Sherlock or as Watson.
Right.
So hard mode or easy mode when you play, like it's an easy bake in recognizable thing. But no, I'm laughing because I have it, but I haven't played it. Um, it's on my shelf of shame.
It happens.
So yes, that is my number 3. But it's also kind of representative of that entire genre. You give me any game in that, and
Sure.
and the one I was saying, Mother of Frankenstein, is coming out in the not so distant future.
Right.
Is one that I had the opportunity to play in a super advanced copy, and it was supposed to be just a quick, like, it was supposed to be played and then passed on to somebody else, and I might have harassed my husband to keep it for several extra days so I could play all of the full
Wow.
the full experience. And he was like, no, I've got the idea of the game. I was like, we're doing all the puzzles.
That's not an arcane game, is it?
What? No. Water is delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, number 2.
We're dropping a lot of future. Yep. Okay. This episode in the future is going to be really good. All right. I am going to go with. I don't know if Chris is going to go this route with this one, and I kind of want to steal it from him, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and push it. I'll steal it. It might be his number 1, but we'll see. I'm going to go with.
You should know what my number 1 is.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm going to drop it. You might want to put your number 1 as number 2 because I'm going to use it for number 1.
Well, no, because my number 1 is actually a number 1.
I'm just going to do it to be spiteful.
Okay.
This is a magical conversation. It's just beautiful.
It's every week, Julie. We do this every week. I'm going to go with Seventh Continent.
Oh, that's not the one you thought was my number 1, is it?
No, I said I'm going to use that as my number 1 to take it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm going to bounce back and I go before you.
Say again?
Nothing. Good.
Seventh Continent is a very extensive exploration game that uses a really cool card system where the numbers will unveil new cards and new locations in this world that you're exploring, where you're meeting people and finding clues and uncovering stuff as you go. Was that Chuck Norris?
It was.
What the shit?
Someone made their own. Yeah, that's not in the game.
Right. That was weird. So yeah, you're just looking for clues on the cards, trying to figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, and as you explore, you're getting new stuff that you're adding to the world as you explore it. It's kind of it's building. So you're quite literally building your world building as you're exploring through this.
Yeah.
This game, and then the story unfolds as you find new things, and you can go back to other things, other cards to further explore. It's really, really neat system, and just a fun world. Have either of you played it?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I got to a second island, I think, before
Nice.
it kind of faded away for us.
I played it. Yeah. Quite a bit to start, but also it was kind of funny because I stopped playing it once I was helping Dev Lost once, which was clearly heavily informed by it, and I didn't want to lean too far more into it.
Gotcha.
So I stopped playing it because I didn't.
Makes sense.
It was already clearly inspired by it. I didn't need it to become the same game.
I back it. I haven't played Lost Ones yet, so I wouldn't have put the connection together.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of those graphic novel adventures that reminded me of this game, right? The reading through and getting the numbers, looking for the numbers, going to certain pages.
Yep.
There was a lot of when I first went through, I think it was Crusoe Crew. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I love the way that the books were different. And I saw something you might not have. So let me go to this page and look at something. There was the number system, like trying to find hints and stuff was clever.
And doing it in a different way. But yeah.
Yeah. It was the only connection was that piece of it. But yeah, the game is fun. The game is, I think, unique. I like the save feature of it, because it is a lot of time to put into this one. But yeah, it's got a really cool story that you're kind of unfolding as you play.
Yeah, it's a great experience to dive into it. We saved it once and came back to it a second time and played for a few hours to get to where we ended up. But for us, like eventually the mechanisms are pretty like all you're doing is choosing to go over here kind of thing. It's more story than it is game for us, I think, especially since it's cooperative. Mm-hmm. So you're just you're both sitting there like making the decisions together, and that's fine and all, but that's why we didn't get past the second island. I think it's after a while we wanted like the challenge of a game more than the story that was going on.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
The dynamic duo is here. Corey, Donnie.
Donnie?
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
That was your number 2 of all time narrative games.
It was the 4th one that I've mentioned on our top 5.
My number 2, man, I almost want to switch these just to make it so you don't steal it from me.
You probably should.
Fine. That's fine. No, I'm going to stick to my actual list. Okay. My number 2 is Sleeping Gods.
Nice.
So I don't think you've played this yet, right, Mike?
I have not.
Yeah, I think once you do, you're going to replace Above and Below with it.
We talked about it before, and I believe that to be true from what I've seen and heard of this game, mostly from you.
Yeah. It is cooperative, and you know how I tend towards non-cooperative games, competitive games. But this game, I keep coming back to it because, unlike what I just said about the other one, the mechanisms in this actually feel they're fun to choose every time it's your turn, and even when it's not your turn, what to do and how to do it. The combat system's interesting. It's more than just story. It's also game, or at least it's a lot more game than a lot of stories go. But then the stories are also really intriguing, and it doesn't like hold your hand as in like, okay, you have to go to 92 to answer this question. It just says like, hey, if I'm looking for my husband and, he went fishing somewhere, I don't know. And you can go look around and be like, hey, there's a little fishing boat on this map. I wonder if that's that lady's husband. And you could go over there and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It just the idea that you can look around on this map and say like, that's interesting. What is that? Or, yeah, I'm not going over there. That looks dangerous, stuff like that. I have found that if you don't take risk, you could actually have a game of not a lot happens. But that's because you actually choose not to do a lot, right?
That's smart.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah. So like on this island right here, if you hear, some person lives alone in a cottage is holding on to something you want. But you might just start looking around and go, oh, there's a cottage right here. That might be it, right? And you go over there and see if it is,
Mm.
All these little drawings and stuff, they all have meaning in the stories.
Yeah, but
It's
they're all
really
denoted by something, right? They all have some place that you'd go.
Yeah, so so you have your boat and everybody decides, let's travel over here, and they're not all connected, but there's many connections and stuff like that. And like you can just go to port here and you can go into town and there's stories in those towns and stuff like that. It's really interesting. I've played many campaigns through it. I call them campaigns, but you basically just decide, let's start over here and start playing around in this neck of the woods,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Lockett, like I said before, he's a magician. His art,
Yeah.
the world he creates, it just sucks you right in. And then there's the story and the characters and the world building and the gameplay, and it's everything he does. Him and his team, right? His wife, everybody is just, they're amazing.
So I think he's finally mastered what he's been trying to do since Above and Below, and then Near and Far, and then here. Because like Near and Far, I disagree with you on Near and Far. You know that Near and Far is better than Above and Below. And one of the reasons is why, because they do these forget what they called, but little words. Like they give you keywords. Maybe they're called keywords. In your quest, like you get a quest, and the keyword is fish. And then later on, it'll say in a story, like, do you have the keyword fish? And you're like, no. It's like, okay, well, then this boring thing happens to you, or, blah, blah, blah. But if you have keyword fish, then that connected story happens, and it's all over the place. You can have all these different keywords, like pink, cottage, shrine, like they have up here, You can have a bunch of them going on all at once. And the little story above it kind of reminds you of where you got it from. So,
it's like Tales, right? Tales, you get to pick those 3 things in the beginning, but you can play an entire game where those 3 things never come up in any of your stories.
Right, but unlike Tales of Arabia, it's not random. So, like in that little story, the shrine or what the person told you about, that actually says cottage.
That is the trick of it.
So you can see the cottage right there.
Right.
You can go to it. Yeah. So you can. Sometimes they're just like, oh, I think east of here there's a, tower, blah blah blah, and it's not even on this page. You flip through these pages because it's all one big map. Like if you look right here, it go to page 13 to go left. So you go to page 13, and it, you go 2 pages over, and that island is there with a tower, and yeah. So it's all up to you. It's open world, cooperative. It's excellent.
Good. Good pick.
That is a
Julie?
good pick. I just want to play that now.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Wander, the Cult of Barnacle Bay.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, it's what?
Wander, the Cult of Barnacle Bay.
It's
Ahern,
Share it again.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
This one?
Yep.
I've never seen this one.
So this is the original game. It came out a couple years ago, and they are on Kickstarter right now with their second iteration of this. So Panda Cult is the publisher, and they previously worked at Simon, and I have a lot of games of this genre. The big box with lots of minis and lots of maps, and you're doing a lot of combat. I have lots of them. This is by far my favorite. And a big part of it, the reason it's my favorite is, so the combat is great. It's clean. It's lots of different maps, lots of different ways to set them up. There are so many. You are here in the world. Where are you going? Go to this page. Now go to this page. Now this is the setup for the combat, and it's going to be drastically different than if you had done, lots of different, choosing the different pathways that you go that inform what the combat looks like. So I have played so many of this genre of game. This is absolutely my favorite.
Wow.
And part of it is the narrative, and then also the storyline of it being, so it's this it's not Cthulhu, but it's definitely of that feel where you have these little cute little woodland animals that have been taken over by this dark magic that turns them partially into fish. So you have the bunny octopus. Yeah, so you've got the beaver who's now got a giant lobster or crab claw. My favorite are the little rabbits with the little wimple kind of looking hats from medieval times, and then tentacle, like octopus tentacles under the dress on the bottom are my favorites.
That was Ross.
Oh yeah. So the miniatures are great. The combat is great. The storyline is great. The fact that they did this take on, I don't know, like the Disney's Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all the cute little woodland animal type things, but now they've been turned into monsters and everything. It's just, I don't know, it's super fun.
Yeah, that looks great.
So I adore it, and there's an entire campaign in this, and now they have the on Kickstarter, which here I think I have.
Yeah, you can share it if you want.
The link, yes, Lecluck's Revenge. So it's pirates now.
You said it's, how do you spell it? Or are you sharing it?
I'm sharing it in the private
Oh,
chat.
okay, great.
We now have the link.
Oh, it's in the chat?
Oh,
yeah.
That'll work.
There you go.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah,
Always
this has been on my list for so long. Every time I see it at Gen Con, Origins, I've always wanted to.
And what's funny is, so I like this is all these games that we're talking about are my jam. Robert is a Euro player.
Yeah, sure.
To get him to play a game like anything we've listed is a full-on negotiation. And this is one of the only ones he has played consistently with me, and like we've played full campaigns of. Like he also enjoyed it, which because the combat system was clear enough, and I think it was just, there's a lot of them, like I can shorthand tons of them, and I like get, but I will say and yes, the initiative and having different powers, everything is so clean in how they organized it that made it super easy for even somebody whose brain goes to Euros to play and enjoy and do a full campaign with me. So that was huge, because it's not his go-to, friends. Not his go-to.
No, if you know Robert, that's not his.
Nope.
Yeah, it's the art's great. The gameplay, I've
look at that.
It's so good. Oh, look at this!
Did you know you were on there?
Nope. I've said nice words about it before. Clearly.
Nice. That's funny. Very nice.
Yeah, it's really well done. The minis are great. The art's stellar. It's a good team over there too. His name's Philip. Is it Brad?
Jonathan is who I. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's his middle name.
I feel like for number one, we ought to go backwards.
No, I'm gonna let you have number one. I'll change it.
All right, Mike, what's your number one?
I'll feel bad. Julie, great pick with Wander.
Thank you.
It just reinforces that I need to add that to my collection now, because it's been on there for so long.
It's honestly and I love all. I have so many from we listed that so many. I have so many. I have everything that Simon has to offer. I have and I love them all, and I've played them all at least once. And I try to do campaigns, and my friend Jennifer and I, that's usually our long weekends. We'll power campaign through one entire box of something. That's kind of our go-to. So I've played a bunch of them, and it's just, I don't know, it just makes my heart happy playing it. So
good pick. It's like Arcadia Quest has got the same kind of feel for me. It's I think it's easy to get into. It's got the cute minis, and it's got the gameplay where you're going around and trying to do stuff on a map, right? A map that's generated. But this one always looked better, felt better, like from the gameplay. It's a good one.
Very cool.
All right.
Top.
Yeah, I'll let him have his thing. I know what it is, and we'll talk about it, which is fine. So my number one, the first time I played it, I fell in love with it. I love the world. I love the story. I love the narrative. I love the way that the initiative, who when every turn was done with the cards, and it was randomized, so you didn't know who was really going, and it's Mice and Mystics.
It's a good one.
Interesting.
It's just so cool to live in that world for a while, right? This curse that's been brought upon the kingdom, and you're trying to like survive, right? And you're these warrior mice that are going through the sewers and trying to run to the tree, and the crow's not getting you. And if you decide, you have these choices through the story where you can go down the rabbit hole, and there's no reason for you to go do it, but you want to do it because it's a story and you want to go up and get the pie and fight the cat. Like, there's just so many things in this game. The art's cute. I love the way that they use the it was the first time that I had seen it done, the way they did the initiative, who went per turn. You shuffle up the cards, you drop them down, and it went from top to bottom. So you could you might not go till third in this round because the bad guys go first and second, and now you gotta oh shit, what do we do? It's just a fun story. I haven't gotten into either of the expansions, and I know the world has grown from there. But Mice and Mystics, the story that's happening, and we talked a little before where you have most games have a little blurb to let you know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And this one gives you a full-on story of this kingdom and this curse. And I love it. I love the world. I love the art. I love the story that comes out of this one. And it's fun. It's not a difficult game to teach to people. If someone knows how to run it and is a good storyteller, they can really get this game up and running pretty quickly. And then when you're playing on the map and the things are moving and you're trying to survive and fight the spider and the cockroaches, and you got I forget the cat's name, but it's just overall cuteness overload, and the story is tremendous. So I'll let you have your number one, and I'll go with that one. Have either of you played it? I hope.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I played it. We got all the way out to a tree. We left the castle and stuff, and that's where we kind of stopped.
Yeah, you got to the tree, and the crow was going to try and get you.
Yeah, maybe the third or fourth one, I think.
Did you go up into the kitchen?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I don't think so.
Did you get attacked by a cat?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you missed a whole part of the story.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things is I really liked the world, but it wasn't. Again, I think it was a little more story than mechanisms for us that made us not come back.
Gotcha.
Not that we chose not to come back. It just next game wasn't that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's still a really good game. I still keep it.
Pretty good.
Very good. Okay, I'm now thinking that my number one would not be yours because I don't know if you've played it.
Well, shit.
But you should know what my number one is.
You should definitely. I've definitely played it, and it should be your number one. When you think
maybe you've played it, I don't know. All right.
Well,
this is not pandering at all.
No, we definitely have different number ones then. Nope.
This is not pandering at all.
That is not what I went to.
I can prove it's not pandering because if you're a fan of the show, you know I bring this game up quite a bit. In fact, I did my very best not to gush about it last time we had Van Ryder over here. But you're talking narrative. It's my favorite game to dive into. I've played several of the campaigns and then gone back to teach other people at playing the
chisel.
The chisel, and it's just as fun again. Only you're on the other side of it. I'm a huge fan of film noir. This hits all of the fun things for me, and it's just, again, it's not telling you what the story is. You're just wandering around in this world, but you're like, you read a thing and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go this way. And someone else reading the same thing goes like, oh, I'm going to go check out this. And maybe we can even go to the same spot. Like I'll go to a place and question this lady and then I get nothing from her. I think I get something, but it's not quite right. And I leave, and you could show up and be like, I don't even care what she says. I'm just going to search her. And you find a thing that I totally miss and run off. I was like, why didn't I search her? And the fact that you can get stuff and hold on to it and not tell me about it because we're all crooked cops. But then I could pay like a desk sergeant to tell me what you've got and stuff. It's great. And each story feels like you're in one of those great like film noir things. And there was no way I was not going to bring this up. It doesn't matter who's with us. If we're talking about narrative games, this is the first thing that popped in my head.
That's fantastic. Yeah, this is Evan's baby. But it's something that genre-wise, same thing. I love this genre. I love how he approached it, and I love that like the chisel is the most crooked of all the crooked cops.
Yes.
Like nobody's a good guy. There's just less bad guys. It's super fun that way. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's the true good guy in a film noir, right? Correct. Everybody's just a little crooked,
right?
But yeah, it's great. I it's in my top 10 games of all time, so it's got to be here when I'm narrative. So now I'm really curious as to what you. Was this the one you thought it was?
Not
okay.
it. I'll tell you after, just in case.
Okay.
Number one. I don't think it is, but
it's not mine.
Oh, I didn't film through here. By the way, if I could ever do a game where Detroit does the artwork, I will be happy.
Yeah,
I can quit.
Is amazing. I
won't quit, but by the way, and I just got back from LA, and I was being taken around and stuff, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to break out the board and just ask about some of these places because I've never been to LA before, and I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about this game while I was there. It's funny.
So that is art from, it was a public domain.
Was it? Oh, wow.
So it's actual map that was done. Art
really?
Of it,
that's awesome.
Way back, and it was part of public domain for that. Just the map. That obviously we did overlays and stuff like that.
Is Burbank on here? I don't know LA very well, so
I don't know it at all.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
I don't know if it is or not. I could spend some time. Like if I spend a lot of time in LA, I would love to just take this map and like walk around and go, that's where I should have dug up the.
But so if you love this, so I will say that's what. So Dark Quarter, which is coming out soon, is taking that same genre, but now we're in New Orleans, and same kind of principle, except now because we have the app online capacity part of it. What Evan has done to build, so all this conversation about building on choices, because you can do a lot more when you're doing it with an app of building on choices. So if you decide to go real dirty as a cop in it versus like it will change the gameplay for you over the course of the stories, but the same kind of feel of being a film noir, but in New Orleans in the 1980s. And got pulled in to do one of the one shots for it.
Oh, cool.
And it was the best. Having a conversation with Evan about story is so great.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. His brain is so great.
It's true.
So yeah, I'm super excited to be working on that.
That's excellent.
So, which is the current sandbox that he's playing in with that genre.
So perfect guest to have on the narrative for me because number
Nice.
one. And now your number one, Julie?
So my number one is a little bit cheating because it's not out yet, but again, I got an advanced copy.
Nice.
It's a lot of little bit cheating. It's the Vampire the Masquerade chapters from Flyos that so the Kickstarter happened.
It's your number one is not even out yet. That's how good it is. Wow.
Which one is it?
So I said I wouldn't pick an RPG, but this is the closest to an RPG.
Chapters?
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's Vampire the Masquerade chapters. Yes. So they took the Vampire the Masquerade RPG and turned it into a massive big box with miniatures game.
Wow.
So they took that and I will say, having spent I as soon as I found out it was happening, I ran over to their booth at Gen Con and was like, "Hi, I'm going to love this game no matter what. And if you need any help with anything, because you're, making this giant big box game and you want any sort of sounding board advice, having worked on folklore, I am offering my services for in any way, shape, or form that you need it, because I just loved this RPG growing up." And they were like, "We played it all the time." So we had this very, very nerdy little moment of love for Vampire the Masquerade. And then, so Robert got an advanced copy for FOMO, which is the first couple scenarios, which I've now played to death. And I just need the rest of it to come out so I can finish it. I love it. It's the way that they used the dice system of replacing, which, by the way, CoraQuest has also done, where you roll and then based on your roll, it changes your dice. It's color coded, so the weight of what you're rolling changes is something that I loved in it. So it's random, but it's hedging your bets on the randomization. Depending, of course, it's for you. It's getting more difficult, or you're not getting more difficult. You're trending towards becoming more vampiric. The less successful you are, which means you're more powerful, but you're more likely to get noticed by the mere mortals, and that's dangerous, because if you get caught too frequently, then your cast will just make you disappear forever, because nobody wants to be found out. So there's that piece of it versus the actual goals of what's happening, and same kind of thing where you can have your conversation with somebody and my conversations with somebody can go very differently, and that could be just because of which group we're from. So intimidation is going to work better for you versus charisma kind of thing is going to work better for me, and some people are going to respond differently to both of those. All of that plays into it very heavily. It's so good. I just want it to be here now. I just want it to be available.
Played Masquerade like a few times when it came out, but I never got into a group that played it a lot or heavily, and I was always interested in the different what you call them, the casts, the different families kind of thing, right? And I think they even had a show that got canceled real fast. It was 3 or 4 episodes or something.
Correct.
It was fascinating because it was almost like a class in a D&D or something.
But there's a whole series of books as well. They have and novels and things like that. So
I was fascinated by the world, but I never got to. I played a lot of World of Darkness, but not Masquerade specifically. So, but pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, no, I played it a lot. That was my little nerd growing up self. It was a lot more RPGs than it was board games. and I just kind of eased into board games from the RPG world. So this was, I was, and I know that like other, like Renegade has done a bunch of stuff, but this one to me had the most true to the original RPG while still making it something that a board gamer would play, kind of feel. So, and
Very cool.
yeah, the minis look cool. Like the minis, like all the components are already like are going to be cool and fantastic and wonderful. And I got to see their advanced manufacturer copy proofs and everything at Gen Con this year. And he came to my booth first to show me before he went and showed anybody else.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's not out yet. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Totally cheated on my number one.
We'll allow it.
How long do you know when they're aiming?
They're manufacturing right now, so everything's been approved, but it's been a very long. Like they were meticulous about everything, and they've documented their entire process of making changes, making edits, why, who, with what, the art, the story, the writing. So if you go on their Kickstarter page, you can see like they did video updates with every single one of them. And they've signed off on everything, and everything's being manufactured right now, which I feel like some of it had already been, like miniatures and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's what we did with Stuff of Legend. We had the plastics, the metal manufactured prior to proofing the print stuff. So that was already done. So everything can go through.
Well, it takes the longest, right? Because miniatures take the longest.
Yep.
But even that, like having those conversations. So So it's a little soon, but it was close enough because it's actually being manufactured. I'm like, I could talk about it now.
Sure.
That's fine. That's fair.
And it's your list, right? So
yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
That
I didn't think about it because I've only played the one time virtually, but Stuff of Legends could end up on one of these lists. I need to play it more.
Great game.
Once it's out.
I'm definitely biased, obviously, but.
So what was the number one what was your number one basically that I psyched you out of not using?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think?
I almost did Western Legends.
Okay.
Was that it? No. Okay. God, I don't know. I can't guess what.
Dead of Winter.
Oh, that's a good one. I got to give it to you. That's a good one.
I don't know how it's not on your list. Like it's
There's an amazing story at the end of each one of those, right?
That what?
It's an amazing story at each one of those plays.
Well, sure. My only gripe with it is that the crossroad cards don't happen enough. And they are so epic when they do happen that I wish they happened more, because you could go turns without, like, I have a card, you're not at the location,
right?
The character's not in play. You put it.
I think that's a good thing, though. That's the bit that makes you come back for more. If you got it every turn or something like that, first of all, it dragged the game. But secondly, you'd be like, okay, we got a lot of stuff. No, we don't have to come back to it. I would come back because I want to see those things trigger. Right?
Yeah, but I've played it so often that they don't, right? Like they're almost too specific. There are some that are like, if this character's in play, read the thing. He's like, all right, wait, don't do anything. This character's in play, which is great. Right. And the ones that are like, if this person is in this location with 4 health and a full moon and there's a star to the left of them, like, this is never going to happen. Like, but otherwise, I think the story that comes out of that game is pretty epic.
I do think there are some stories that happen so often that, like, I've seen this so many times, or just there's only so many times I can eat a horse, so I like put it away. Like, don't put it in the game, kind of thing,
Like, even if it was on your turn, if you did something, right? Like, you flip the deck until you get to whatever character you're playing at the time, and if that character goes to the police station, or if that character rolls the exposure die, or if that character does something, then great. But it's so specific that it really is the only thing with that game. I love the hidden traitor. I love the accusations right out of the gate. I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff that Stuff the Legend has, where everyone could be on the same team, and the person that's loyal to the boogeyman, there are none, right? Because the boogeyman card is face down on the board. No one is loyal to the boogeyman. But why do you want to go there? Why are you suggesting we go there? Why don't we go? Like, the accusations right from the beginning of the game make that game super fun.
Yeah. All right. We have spent a while, so let me dive right into. I have.
That was really fun. There was
Yeah,
some really good
that was a great list. In fact, I'll probably end up getting a few games from it.
I know I have 2 now.
Yeah. Wait, which 2?
Sleeping Gods. I'm gonna have to go back and watch. I had a mental note. There have been so many. One much earlier.
Ooh, another view.
Yeah.
Nice. Was it King's Dilemma? Give me one.
No, I've played King's Dilemma. It's quite good.
Damn it. So they were both Chris's?
Hopefully.
Whatever.
All right. So I have 13 questions. It's Halloween trivia.
Nice.
Just
appropriate.
Just going to have fun. You get a point for answering correctly. Let's say 3 points for the last one. Just in case there's a little,
First answer, or do we each get a shot? How's it going to work?
Yeah. So I should have said something, but can you get something right with? All you have to do is write A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
Something right with, or because I'll give you multiple choice for each one of these.
Okay.
And the comment section, you can. Yeah, I won. What I win? Oh, because she wanted Sleeping Gods. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
You want Sleeping Gods too. Trust me.
I own it. I backed it.
Well, then play it. For once in your life, play one of the games you own.
Come to Syracuse and I'll play it.
That's
Julie's been to Syracuse. Julie's been to QSCon. Julie was at the inaugural QSCon, actually.
I've bet I wouldn't be at more, except there was because life, but also this one was so close to Essen.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from it for next year. At least by.
That's good because I'm going to Essen next year, probably.
Nice.
Maybe. We'll see.
So was Evan. Evan's coming.
Who's gone? Evan. Hey, Evan.
Right. Are we going over each question as we go, or are we
like
going to
do A, B, C, D, like this?
Yep, that'll work. Although the very last one goes all the way up to J, so you could just write it on, since it's the last one. Everything else is A, B, C, D.
Okay. Are we going over each one, or do we need? Are we going to?
No, I'll give you the answer after each one.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So first question. And comments can come in there too. So either ignore or hide comments. Before pumpkins, what vegetable did the Irish use to light their way at night? Is it A, potato? Oh, you already know this one. That's good. Is it B, turnip, C, onion, or D, squash? I think you're in trouble on this one, Mike.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
I'm a wealth of useless information.
That's
great.
It's going to go really well for me then. All right, I'm in.
All right. Show your answers. B, turnip, B, turnip. You're both correct.
Woo!
Both get a point. Did you know that one, Mike? I think it's obvious that Julie did.
Process of elimination. But squash was too easy. Onion was too dumb.
Gross.
Right.
Apparently, the myth of Stingy Jack? Not sure which one it is, but it was before they found pumpkins in America. So I guess they don't have pumpkins. Didn't have pumpkins. Okay, number 2. Trick-or-treating comes from a Celtic festival of, sure I'm not saying this right, Samhain, where poor children went door to door begging for food and money. What was it?
Sewing.
Oh, okay. What was this practice called?
Oh, Jesus.
Is it A, knocking, B, booing, C, souling, or D, gnashing?
Don't actually.
Poor
Repeat it again.
children.
They go door to
Yeah.
door doing what now?
Trick-or-treating comes from a Celtic festival of
Sewing.
where poor children went door to door begging for food and money. What was this practice called? Is it A, knocking, B, booing, C, souling, D, gnashing?
Not sure about this at all.
Like souling, soul, S-O-U-L, souling.
Yes, S-O-U-L-I-N-G.
Gnashing. Okay,
G-N-A-S-H-I-N-G.
sure.
All right. What are your answers? C is correct. Souling. Kids would pray for the souls of the dead relatives of those that gave them food or money.
I mean, they did that for every major holiday. Was
Yeah.
go around and beg money.
Oh,
for
really?
Whatever.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So, like my favorite St. Stephen's Day, you would sing the Wren song.
The Wren
the
song?
king of all birds, St. Stephen's Day was caught in the fur. Though he was little, his honor was great. Come on, young lads, and give us a treat. Money.
So I just want to point
Wow.
out we've been doing this for almost 2 years, and I think that was our first song. You had the
Really?
intro with the
And
guitar.
that was it? I'm so sorry. I could have picked something much
You know,
better.
think that
not
was-
counting weird stuff I do every now and then, but
No,
yeah,
your
from a
intro
guess.
with the guitar was technically pre-recorded. I think that was our first live song on the show.
I'm so
there's
sorry.
A future nugget
The
of
Wren
information
song
for
for
future
St.
trivia.
Stephen's Day for begging for Irish children who had a reason to beg for money for every major holiday.
I mean, we know. All right. Wow.
All right, so it's 2 and 2.
Yep.
Third question. To make the mask for Mike Myers in Halloween in 1978, the production designer bought a mask of a popular character and painted it white. Who was that character? Was it A, Luke Skywalker, B, the Hulk,
Oh.
C, Superman, or D, Captain Kirk? To make the mask for Mike Myers in Halloween in 1978, the production designer bought a mask of a popular character and painted it white. Was it A, Luke Skywalker, B, the Hulk, C, Superman, or D, Captain Kirk? You have your answers?
Yeah.
All right, show the answers.
Thought the answer was William Shatner, but you said Kirk, so it's got to be.
It was Kirk.
It is. It's Captain Kirk. Yep. I love seeing, like, I'm not 4 words in, and Julie's like,
Yeah, I'm very intimidated. I'm very lucky so far, but I'm.
do not need the multiple choice, and that's
Wealth
yeah.
of useless information.
perfect. It's perfect.
There's a few on here I bet you nobody.
Oh, I'm
can
sure that we're
know.
doing okay.
Okay. Number 4. Oh, we had a few people know Casey Jones. No, it wasn't Casey Jones.
Good though.
Number 4. Candy corn was originally called A, devil horns, B, chicken feed, C, Dunshire cones, or
Really?
D, witch's corn.
What are the answers again?
A, devil horns, B, chicken feed, C, Dunshire cones, or D, witch's corn.
All right. Some of them make sense.
You have your answers? Comments
Yeah.
are coming in. All right, let's see them. D, B. The correct answer is chicken feed, B.
Ooh.
Yeah, apparently, so it came out like in the 1880s or something like that, and corn was not used as human food at that time. Like they just used it for chicken feed, and it wasn't until after World War I that they started like canning it, and so it's very strange. So, Mike,
The more you know.
You're at 4.
And
And
yeah. Sense. The devil horns would have been more modern, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's corn and the chicken, it just, I didn't know
the
that.
Dunshire cones was my favorite one.
That was,
Dunshire Cones
yeah.
was pretty awesome.
I like that we have a 1 in 3 shot of a lot of these. Thank you for that.
Right. Well, I had to put it in there once it popped in my head. All right, number 5. What was the first horror film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture? Was it A, Psycho, B, Get Out, C, The Sixth Sense, or D, The Silence of the Lambs?
Shit. What's the question? First to win the Academy
That was
Award?
not one of the choices.
What was the first horror film to win the Academy Award for the Best Picture?
Best Picture. First horror film, Best Picture.
A, Psycho, B, Get Out, C, The Sixth Sense, or D, The Silence of the Lambs? Got your answer?
No, it's 1 or 2.
Either one of those is your possibility. It's A, B, C, or D.
I don't know if it got Best Picture. Fuck it.
Again, not one of the
All right.
possible.
I'm writing in
answers.
my own answers now.
Great. All right. Let's see. Let's see what the answers are. Lambs. You are both correct. The Silence of the Lambs.
Well,
I almost put Exorcist in here, which actually got 10 nominations.
didn't win.
Didn't win. Yeah.
My dad went to Georgetown while it was being filmed, so in those crowd scenes, he's in.
Oh, that's pretty
somewhere.
cool.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right. So both a point here. It's a tight race. 5-4, Mike.
I'm not confident, but
Number 6.
oh my god,
According
wait,
to-
can that be a thing?
No,
Some coach.
that's the expansion.
That is that sounds like a creepy film.
Number 6. According to Google Trends, what is the most popular superhero costume this year? Is it A, Batman, B, Thor, C, Spider-Man, or D, Iron Man?
How is it not Black Panther? What is wrong with people? Thor. What are the options?
A,
again?
Batman, B, Thor, C, Spider-Man, D, Iron Man.
I'm gonna go with it.
We got some comments.
Always got comments.
All right. What are your guesses?
I got to do it.
A, Batman, or C, Spider-Man? The correct answer is Spider-Man.
Well done.
I actually think Spider-Man is almost always on top, which is pretty crazy, considering that there are like gaps where you don't see Spider-Man over the years. But
Yeah,
But cartoon wise, you do.
that's true. That's true.
yeah. That was good. I figured Iron Man and Thor were not options, right? So it came down to Spider-Man or Batman.
Well, Thor just came out, and I also
Just come
I
out.
kind of left it just at Thor because you could do male or female costume with that. So
Sure, but I don't know if anyone's really going to try and rock that as a costume. I figured Spider-Man, Batman, and the only reason I went with Batman, well, 1, Batman, but 2, because of the new movie. So that's true. Well done. All right. All right.
All right, number 7. It's 5-5. Number 7. How many Friday the 13th movies are there? A, 11, B, 12, C, 13, or D, 14? 11, 12, 13, 14.
Like, this is a technicality, right? Does it have to have Friday the 13th in the name?
How many Friday the 13th movies are there?
What are the options? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
11, 12, 13, or 14? comments. I love you, comment people.
Keep
All right. You have your choices?
Yeah.
Have a
No.
choice. I have made a choice. I don't know if it's correct.
This thing is great for popping your neck.
I don't know how
Like
you-
it keeps your head up whenever you go to pop, and it like pops all the way down the spine. It's
I
great.
can see, like, yeah, because you're isolating your. Yep.
That was your neck?
That was plastic.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That was plastic.
Holy shit. All right, we're good?
All right, review. I was like trying to figure out what that picture was at the top right, Mike. So you both say C, 13. You are both incorrect. It is 12.
Damn.
Well,
12. They got to make one more, right? How do you not have 13?
The one
Why
with,
is there a little
the one
bit?
with Jamie Lee Curtis that's coming out was, so we're not counting that one that was just, okay.
That's Halloween.
That's
She's in
Halloween.
Halloween.
I am
Yep.
so dumb.
yeah. That's the 42 ship.
Oh, wow. That's old.
Been on there forever.
You should put a piece of tape over it to make sure it.
You should put a piece of tape over it.
Okay.
I like when I get it wrong and Julie gets it wrong at the same time. I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
Number 8. How many pounds of candy corn are produced each year? Is it A, 9 million pounds? B, 17 million pounds? C, 28 million pounds? Or D, 35 million pounds? So 9, 17, 28, or 35 million pounds.
I'm trying to do math to see what your separation between the numbers are. Is that bad?
It's a
Was it
strategy.
9, 17, 28, and 30 who?
5.
9, 17, 28, and 35.
I'm just guessing this one. This one I have no idea.
Million pounds. How many pounds? What's that bag? How many of those are? All right. I'll go with that.
Carry the 2.
Right?
Divide
Square
by
root.
4.
Yep.
Square root of pi.
Math is Mike's strong suit here.
Yep.
Well,
All right.
yeah. We haven't gotten along since 5th grade. I'm in.
C28, B17. Sorry, the correct answer is D, 35 million pounds.
That didn't seem right. Holy
About 9 billion pieces a year.
I probably eat a couple 100,000 of them. So.
I eat none of
I
them.
gained some of those pounds. I know
So good.
that.
I had a 2.5 pound bag upstairs that oh so good.
You don't like candy
So-
corn? I love candy corn.
When we were at one of the other conventions in Syracuse, Retro Game Con, a couple weeks ago, Jason, who people know from the show, he's the manager of the friendly local game store. He's like, "You want to try some candy corn?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love it." He goes, "You should have this one. It's hot dog flavored." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" It's a bag
No.
called Tailgate, hamburger, hot dog, fruit punch, some other weird shit. And
No.
he's like, it tasted like a hot dog. I'm
No.
like, I can't even. Oh, popcorn was another one. Like candy corn should be candy corn. The brown or the yellow, I'm fine with. But when you're going into meats, like candy corn tastes like meat, I'm out.
That's funny.
That's fair. Okay, so I don't eat a lot of candy to begin with, and there's most of them I have allergies to, so candy's kind of lost on me for the most part.
I'm sorry.
All right, how about this one then? Number 9. What was Chandler dressed as on the Halloween episode of Friends?
Oh God, where's Katia on this one?
Is it A, a bunny, B, Superman, Spider-Man, C, a zebra, or D, potato? Bunny, Superman, zebra, or potato?
Why are you saying zebra? You're in Texas.
Because that's how you're supposed to say it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you saying it on purpose? That's not how you would say zebra.
You just said zebra.
It's not how
Zebra.
you would say it. Shut your mouth. All right.
All right. Let's see your
Yeah,
answers.
That's what I thought.
No, she says zebra.
That's not true.
I've put out my
So-
guess. Have you put out your guess yet, man?
No, I already wrote it.
Okay.
You both did bunny. You're both correct.
Yeah.
He was a pink bunny. He wanted to be the Velveteen Rabbit, but
Yeah.
Monica only gave him the pink bunny outfit.
Remember that one.
I literally don't know if I've watched enough Friends for that.
So that was a good guess.
It seems, yeah, it seemed.
Yeah.
Great. Neck and neck, 6 points each.
Mm.
Number 10. What was the Munsters' address? Is it A, 666 Ravens Way? Is it B, 800 Black Cat Boulevard? C, 1313 Mockingbird Lane? Or D, 1692 Salem Street? So 666 Ravensway, 800 Black Cat Boulevard, 1313 Mockingbird Lane, 1692 Salem Street. Got some answers. Some are right, some are wrong.
Man.
There you go. All right, what are your answers? C, 1313. You're both correct. 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I thought the 1692 Salem Street was pretty
very
good.
clever.
That's
Clever.
the, that's
I
the
liked
year.
that. I like
Yeah.
that.
That's a good answer.
Did you
It was
both already know it before the answers popped up?
I was pretty sure.
Yeah, I was pretty sure too. The Salem was too clever, so that one was eliminated. And then the 800 I didn't get.
It's Boo 800.
Oh, yep.
All right, number 11. You're still neck and neck, 7-7.
This is brutal.
Yeah.
How much blood per feeding does a vampire bat typically consume? Is it A, 2 tablespoons? Is it B, 4 tablespoons? C, 8 tablespoons? Or D, 1 cup, which is 16 tablespoons?
In one feeding?
Yes.
What are the answers again? A is 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons. Right. 2, 4, 8, 16 tablespoons. Donnie.
Okay.
I'm not ready.
Might have a split in points here.
Maybe.
All right.
All right, let's see the answers.
Uh-oh.
C or B? Nope, you're keeping the same amount of points because you're both incorrect. The answer is A, 2 tablespoons.
There's so
A vampire bat's like this big. They're tiny, tiny.
Right.
remember.
So comparatively, I didn't think that the smallest answer would have been trivia question worthy. I outguessed myself on that one. Whatever.
What? This is number 12. You're still neck and neck, 7-7. It won't matter how many points the last one is if you're both equal.
True.
Number 12. What item is banned in California on Halloween? I don't actually know where you live, Julie. Do you?
I live in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice when Gen Con comes around.
Mm-hmm.
What item is banned in California on Halloween? Is it A, wooden stakes, B, raisins, C, silly string, or D, air horns?
I mean, these are all legit.
Yeah, every one of them could be.
These are all legit.
Why is everybody guessing swords? That's not one of the. It's not one of the.
What are they again? Wooden stakes.
Wooden stakes, raisins, silly string, or air horns.
Why would it be raisins? Banned on Halloween. If it's raisins, I swear. Is it? I think this is the right one.
All right. What are your answers?
Is the word. I don't know if I got the letter right. So I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. That'll be fine. All right. What's the answer? Silly string is correct.
Oof.
So you're both going into the final question.
Raisins? You didn't.
Oh, the California raisins.
California raisins.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fun fact: the California raisins music tape was the first tape I ever owned.
So sorry.
I was like, I want to say maybe six or seven. I got it for Christmas. I remember that Christmas. It was the first album thing I ever owned was California Raisins. I played it all the time.
Gift that somebody
It was actually like really good music. It was all Motown music.
It was all Motown music.
So yeah.
I still have a California raisin playing the saxophone, a little figure from when I was a kid.
Oh.
I
will say I will be happy to tie with you, Julie.
Yeah, so that's why this goes all the way up to Jay.
Okay.
So what is the most popular Halloween candy in America? Is it A, Snickers,
Jesus.
B, Skittles, C, M&M's, D, Tootsie Rolls, E, Milky Way, F, Candy Corn, G, Jolly Ranchers, H, Gummy Bears, I, Milk Duds, or J, Smarties?
All right.
Again.
Yep. Do that again.
You want those again? Okay. Snickers, Skittles, M&M's, Tootsie Rolls, Milky Way, Candy Corn, Jolly Ranchers, Gummy Bears, Milk Duds, or Smarties? This is for the win.
Gummy Bears, Milk Duds, or Smarties? Oh, I spelled that wrong. Holy
But he'll deduct points for spelling, so you gotta make sure you get it right.
Most popular in America.
I guess I should say United States if you want to be specific.
Yeah. Because Smarties in Canada are very different than Smarties in the United States.
Smarties in Ireland are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. In
I think
Canada
it's
as well.
All right, it's not that.
Matt, you're Canadian. I don't think you can say that.
Can't be that. It's not this.
What is best in life?
Not that.
Hear the lamentations of the O's.
Not that. Not that. Between two.
It's not math. You should be knocking this one out.
Between two.
All right, come on, pick one.
All right, I got it.
All right. What does everybody say? Oh my God. Did you both pick C?
Yeah, no shit.
How weird. Yeah. Okay. Well, neither one of you is correct.
Damn it.
But pick the next one. What's the next one you would pick? We're going to break this tie.
Jesus.
Well, I crossed off all my answers, Chris.
Snickers, Skittles, Tootsie Rolls, Milky
I know what
Way,
they are. I'm
Candy
just saying.
Corn, Jolly Ranchers, Gummy Bears, Milk Duds, Smarties.
So it's not that. So I'm going to go with that. Okay.
All right. What's the next choice? Skittles versus Snickers. Skittles is the correct answer.
No.
Yep.
How is that a Halloween candy?
I have no clue, but Skittles is the number one.
Literally going by the last time I was at my nieces and nephews, what they got in their bags. That was my very scientific approach.
Wow.
I guess it's my fault. I went with 2 chocolates, and chocolates are expensive, so Skittles are not chocolate, so they're less expensive. Damn it.
What? I like Skittles.
Skittles are great.
Skittles are one of the only candies I can eat.
Skittles are great.
One of my favorite candies on that list.
Yeah.
How can it not be chocolate? I think you're right about it being more expensive with the chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
So people don't buy it as frequently.
Yeah.
Well done, Julie.
Just barely snaked it in.
Skilled right through.
All right. So
That was good.
thanks for dealing with that.
No, it was good.
So-
That was fun.
Is it too late to play CoraQuest, or did you want to dive in? I don't know how long the game is.
It's kind of. I was gonna say
It's getting pretty late.
It's getting late.
That's fine.
We could always save that for next time if you want to come back.
Sure. Absolutely.
We'll figure out another time. What is it, like 2.5 hours? Yeah, that's a good one. What are those things that look like spongy peanuts?
They're circus peanuts.
Circus peanuts.
Yeah, they were my father's favorite. I love them, but you have like a shelf life on them where they're fantastic when they're spongy peanuts, and then you can use them to like plaster your wall. So you got to eat them early, or else they're god awful.
So that's Robert's favorite candies are the like old timey, really cheap penny candies. So if you so circus peanuts is one of them. Like, and like, when do you find things like that? What were they? The flying saucers that are just like, it's styrofoam basically, but with like nerds on the inside, like just sugar candy on the inside, stuff like that.
Never even.
Oh yeah, no, those are his favorites. Things like that.
Oh, I don't know what those are.
So it's literally like packing peanut foam, like the super lightweight, but biodegrade, like edible.
Yeah.
Foam, and then you have what makes up nerds, just the flavored tangy sugar in rock form on the inside, and it was like a little flying saucer shape.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
I'll have to look for those.
I mean, you can. They used to be at the penny candy store when I was growing up, so you could order literally that, like 2 of those was like 2 pennies each. And the person behind the counter, you'd be like, "Here's my $2. I'm going to painstakingly pick out 500 pieces of candy."
Perfect. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, it's been a fun Halloween, fun show. Thank you so much for coming. Oh yeah, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, Julie was awesome. I had a great time. I knew you were the right person to talk to about narrative-driven games. I don't know why, but I knew you were the person to have on.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah. What we have a few links in our description, but what do you want people to know about?
I'm sure I have the link for Van Ryder Games.
Yep.
Because everybody knows Final Girl Season 1 is back in stock. So if you've been looking to get it, you can. And then also, I guess I had, I've worked with on the Gamma board, and I've worked with, so Gamma being the Game Trade Association. And specifically, I am supporting the Horizons Fellowship, which is new or wanting to get into publishing and retailer division support. So I do some mentoring for that. And so there's lots of different ways you can support, either being a mentor if you're in the industry, or if you want to donate money, because that money goes towards them having a first year membership and booths at both the Gamma Trade Show and or Origins. So those are my links. More information about them in them.
Nice. Yeah, Gamma.
Awesome.
For those that don't know, Gamma, it's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
Very nice. Well, it was a fun show. Very
Yeah.
much enjoyed it. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Still got a half hour to go get the rest of that candy. Well, you have more because you live in a fake time, but we only have. Oh,
Fake
Julie,
time.
are you in Central? You're not Central. You're
No, I'm
still.
not
She's-
Central.
She's even further away from you. Or no, she's in the same time zone as you, right?
Yeah, great. We still have the real time. You have the made up.
No, I'm in the middle. I'm central. I have the real time. Everything else is just peripheral.
Time is a tube. It means nothing.
With those deep thoughts, we'll say goodbye.
Or perhaps maybe it's just my bedtime.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Some of us are gonna run over to Discord, hang out there for a little bit if you want to talk.
Talk
Yeah.
more.
Talk more. Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I have a picture I'll share over in Discord too.
Oh, cool. All right.
Which
Great.
I think is kind of cute. But
And a few other games that popped in my head or didn't make it on the list. Well, I can bring up as well for narrative.
sure, yeah, do that.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Julie, thanks again. Say hi to Robert, please.
I will.